What's up, DTK fam? It's your boy Sheik here. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. I want to go over some stuff that happened this week and then what to expect going forward to end the rest of the week. So let's jump right into it and check out SPY. First thing I want to show is how we ended up in this rally basically the past couple of days. Now, if you pull up your 1 hour chart, and I have my TTM squeeze indicator obviously pulled up. What I want to show you guys is this pattern. This is one of my favorite patterns to play. This is a falling wedge, basically. If you draw your little lines out, we're falling. Usually this is a bullish reversal sign, but what we're looking for basically to enter calls is the break of this trend line. Now, not only were we in a falling wedge, but going in pre-market, the hourly was squeezing. These red dots indicate that we're in a squeeze, which gives us a higher potential of a big push out. Now, we came down, obviously TTM squeeze fired off, we broke out, and as you can see, we ran up all day on Monday. We have eventually rejected at this 386.83 area, and then came back, tested 434, which is huge support. As you can see, it was previous support, broke down, became resistance. Now we got over it. We used 434 today a few times. As you can see, we popped off, and then we headed back up to this 437 area, and we rejected today, and we held 434 all day. As you can see, we popped right back up to end the day. I see some more upside in this as long as 434 holds. Now that we've broken above 436 as well, I'm looking forward tomorrow for a hold of 436. If we don't hold 436, we're probably going to head back down and test 434. But if we hold 436, I'm expecting another push. Now, what I want to show you guys is why we rejected here today. If we go into our daily chart, as you can see, there was a gap left here between, looks like 437 and 436.27, so about $1 gap here. We went, filled the gap, basically rejected at the top of that gap. Right when we rejected it, rejected hard. We fell the rest of the day, went back, held that 434 support, and pushed back right back up to that 436, right above that 436 level. Now, if we hold 436 tomorrow, I'm looking at calls into this next gap, which is what I think we're going to fill by the end of this week. So 437.51 to 439.35, about $2 gap we have right here. This is what I want to see filled. Actually, I think the gap is, yep, that's the gap. So this is the next gap we're going to be filling. So what I'm going to be looking for, 436 bounce to take some 437, 438 calls possibly right into this gap fill tomorrow. If we don't hold 436, I'm looking for a pullback to this 434 area, 434.25. Under that, we're basically back to 432, which has been a tough level to break, 432.25, 432.50 area. If we break that, we're looking at 430 and basically this 428, 427 area. So that's my game plan for SPY. Let's go back into the 1 hour, see if we can spot anything else. Looked like, of course, there was another tiny wedge in pre-market. But as of right now, what I'm looking for is a bounce. My setup is 436 bounce, so keep an eye on that, and we'll check it out tomorrow morning. All right, next up is Tesla. Again, hourly chart, broke out of a wedge in pre-market, broke out, came down, tested this 248 area. As you can see, it's been an area of confluence, bunch of bounces. It used to be previous resistance. We broke through it. We've come back and tested it twice here, and then we broke down underneath it, used it as resistance. Once we broke through today, we retested it. I think tomorrow we could get another retest. I'd definitely look for calls right here if we see it again. If not, I'd look for a break above this 260 area for a shot at 263.5. So break of 260, we go to 263. If we pull down, I'd again look for calls in 248. If we break this 248, then we're looking for puts because we're probably going to go to this 243, 242 area. Under that, we have a gap, I believe, on the daily to fill. So my game plan is watch for the bounce of 248 to pick up some calls. If we break, get some puts. And if we don't get the bounce and we just take off right at open, I'm looking for a break of 260, which is today's high, and we'll take some calls there to 263. Next up on the list, nvda. Obviously, this thing refused to fall, but it was looking really weak yesterday, especially in pre-market with the news of the chip news that came out from the government saying that you can't export to China. That caused a drop in this stock's just been, people just been dip buying this. As you can see in pre-market, we came down and tested this previous resistance, which was 396. As you can see, we've had a few taps on this, quite a few taps actually. Today we used it as support and we rocketed past this 405. Once we broke 405, it was just a run basically back to 420 almost. So tomorrow what I'm looking for is basically a retest of maybe 410, possibly 405. If we can't hold 405, we're probably going to go back to 400, and that's the big test. If we break 400, we're going back down, 396, possibly, 380, around there. So I'd look for puts ultimately under 400, but I'm thinking this is going to be continued bullish as the entire market ended off pretty much on a run today. I would look for calls over this 413, possibly over 420 if you want a safer entry. So above 420, we're pretty much gonna head to 430. So I would look for calls, safe call entries over 420, 418, 420 area. But if you want to pick up the bounce, I can honestly see us going back down and testing this 405. We'll check out what happens in pre-market, but that's what I'm looking at. So pre-market will determine where my entries are tomorrow. If there's some movement in pre-market, we'll use the pre-market high as an entry. But as of right now, I think we're going to try to test this 405 again, and then skyrocket up back to 420. I think we break 420 by the end of this week again. And if we can't break, like if we can't hold 400, then we're dumping. But I'm not seeing that. 400 has been a hold. As you can see on the daily, we've held 405, pretty much right after we broke above it. And 400's been like a little bit of another support psychological level. But 405 ultimately has held so far. Broke out, retested it. Usually this is a good sign when you retest. You usually retest and hold and move on to the next level. So I really do think nvda is going to get another pop tomorrow. So keep an eye out for nvda, and then let's check out another ticker. Next, I want to take a look at Meta. We've been in kind of a chop zone here, so it's not going to be too much of a play here. But what I can see is we've been holding 285 for the past couple of days. As you can see previously, we've broken above it, held as used it as resistance, broke above, used it as support, broke below, used it as resistance. Now we're using it as support, so I could see us using 285 tomorrow as support for calls back up to 290. But this thing is just kind of in a chop. So if you want a safe entry, wait for a break of this range, this 290 range. Once we break this, we're probably going to take off here. I don't really see too much resistance here. Let's check out the weekly. Break of 290 is basically going to send us, over 300, I'd say, most likely. As you can see, we're in the golden pocket right now of Meta. So ultimately, long term, I am bearish on this. I'm looking at this 300 level, which is my golden retracement level. If we tap this, I'm looking for puts for a few weeks out, because I think this is the ultimate rejection right here. We're going to reject here and probably come down and test something else. I'll show you what levels I'd be looking at here. Let's clear this chart real quick. I'll show you what I use for my fibs. So basically, draw it from highs down to the lows. Golden pocket area is around 297. I'd say I was just rounding up to 300, but this is where I would start looking for puts. And then if you want targets for the down low, basically most likely once we reject here, let's see here, let's actually activate this and move it up. So moving this up to our rejection level, we're looking at possible big price cuts, huge move down possibly. Obviously it's not going to be a straight shot down. I don't expect it to fully go down and touch these, but these would be long-term levels to look for a retracement, possibly to this 170, 168 area. $100 trim, but usually what comes up, you know, in a very violent way is probably going to come down in a violent way as well. So look for pullbacks, but again, like I said, I'm going heavy on puts here at 300 level, with basically my first target being this 271, and then possibly around 238 for my second target. So that's what I'm looking at for meta. It's more of a long-term swing play. I wouldn't really day trade it unless we break out of a clear range. But yeah, look for this area right here. I think we're going to have a huge rejection right here. Last but not least, let's take a look at QQQ. So you can see in a 4-hour, it's pretty much breaking out of this wedge. But this area has been a very huge supply area. So you can see, you know, every time it's been in this area, it's kind of had a bounce, you know, broke under it a little bit, but bounced again today through here. What I would like to see is basically a clear break of this 367 area, 366.5, 367, for a pushback up to, like, you know, 369, possibly higher, 371, maybe even all-time highs on the QQQ, or 52-week high, I believe. But anything under this 360 area is where we'd look for puts, but I would really not be looking for any puts unless we break that. Anytime it hits in this area, I would just start loading up on calls, because it keeps looking like it's holding this area. Let's look at the daily, looking like it's breaking out of that flag. Of course, choppiness, but it looks like it's breaking out again. If we can hit, like I said, if we can break this 366.5, 367 area, we can make a push back up, you know, 369, possibly, you know, 370. So that's what I would keep a lookout on. Of course, watch the entire market. And again, we are in my golden pocket here, and which is why I think we're having issues breaking out of it. We saw the retracement here. We're right at the 70% retracement. Next would be the 78%. So ultimately, this is where I would look for more puts. If we can't hold this 363 as golden one long term, I could see us pulling back to 350, possibly lower. So that's what I'm looking at, you know, long term for QQ. But in the short term, I look for puts below that 360 level, and then calls in this area, and calls above 367 as well. So that's all I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Hope you learned something. If you guys like what I'm doing here, let me know. I'll keep doing these more often. I'm trying to do them every day after market, but you know, life gets in the way. But definitely, I'll definitely be doing these on Sundays, just so we can get a look ahead on the week. I'll try to do a few during the week, but if you guys really like it, I'll try to do it every single day. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys in the morning.